Okay, welcome. We are going to be showing how to do the walking figure animation in Wick Editor. The instructions will be quite different from what they appear to be in the curriculum to go with TupiTube, so please follow along to these and ignore the others if you are using the Wick Editor. The Wick Editor has a spot in the bottom to upload assets, aka files. So we're going to start with that. The little link on the right side is the one we're going to be clicking to do this. When I click on that, it gives me the option to look at my files. I have downloaded this walking image, walking figure reference, and it now shows it's uploaded. If I double click on that, I can see the preview of it, and I can add to Canvas. Now, the second step that I want to do for this activity is to change the canvas so it fits better with our image. Our image is, let's go ahead and select with our selection tool. In our inspector window, it shows that the width is 1000 pixels and the height is 336. Let's go to settings, which is the little gear button in the top right, and carefully click on that, see what happens. Boom. Okay. We could change in the width, just change that to 1000, but instead I'm just going to change to 720 pixels. It's just a one-click situation, and click apply. Now, watch your little gauge button below. See, this little red button shows where you are. You'll notice that the image disappeared because I accidentally clicked on a weird spot. So that's what was happening there, in case that happens to anyone else at any point. I'm going to use my little selection tool, and I'm going to move this. And I'm going to kind of carefully adjust and move. Let's see, I'm going to make it smaller now. And I like that. If you are using a computer instead of a tablet, you can hold down on Shift while you are expanding an image, and it will retain its scale. So if that's a useful tool for you, there you go. Okay, so we have this little character now, and she is, I'm going to make it a little shorter. There we go. Okay, she's all walking across the stream. And what the activity had you do was to make a person walking in place, but I think it'll be a little bit more fun to have our figure walking across the page. So that's what we're going to do. But first, we are going to create a layer. Now, down below is a little button here that says layer in green, and that is, I can click on it, and it actually, in the inspector, says the name of the layer. I don't want this to be called layer. That's a pretty bad name in general. And I am going to rename it something clever like reference. Because I'm only using this as reference. It will not be part of my final piece of art. Now, I'm going to go and I'm going to add another layer. On the bottom left, I'm going to click the plus, and I'm going to call that layer, how about walking space fig. There we go. I'm going to call it walking fig. Now, with layers, it's important to know that the layer button on top is literally on top. And I don't want our reference on top. I want it on the bottom because we're going to be tracing over it. So I'm just going to hold down and move it. So click and drag, and it's now on the bottom. Okay, the second thing I am going to do is I'm going to lock the bottom reference. I don't want to accidentally be drawing on it or anything like that. And so I'm going to click the lock layer and boop, click it like you mean it. There we go. It is now locked. So I can't move the image on accident or anything like that. Okay, next step I need to do is add a frame to the top one. Okay, so we now have a frame on the top and we have a frame on the bottom. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to expand this frame so that I want this to go all the way across to 24. All right, 24 frames. And now I'm just going to leave it alone. I'm not going to touch it. I'm going to go back to Walking Fig. Okay, and for Walking Fig, what I am going to do is first let's double check and make sure, yep, the little image stays the whole way, and that's what we wanted to do. Let's pause that. Boop. Okay, move my little red bar back to the beginning. Always remember to pay attention to where your red bar is so you don't get confused. Okay, so now we're here, and this is our very first cell. Sure. Frame, really, is what it is. It's the very first frame. And I am going to trace our little character. I'm going to zoom in slightly, okay? And I am going to select this tool. I want to create a stick figure. I'm going to use the circle or ellipsis tool. And I'm going to create a little ellipse. Okay? Now, I could have changed the width of this if I wanted and made it so that it was a little thicker. Let's say, well, 9. That's a completely random number. If I go undo, it will keep my setting, theoretically. There we go. Click undo. There we go. It will keep my setting, but allow me to redraw the circle. So if I wanted to redraw the circle with a thicker outline, then I could do it. For this first frame, we are only tracing character number 1. Okay? I am going to be using just the circle and the line drawings. So now that I have made a circle for my character's head, I am going to use the line and draw a line from her neck or her head down to where her hip probably is. Okay? And now I'm going to draw another line from her hip to her knee, from her knee to her ankle, or to her heel, I guess, and from heel to toe. I'm going to do the other leg, hip to knee, knee to heel, heel to toe. I kind of messed up and drew that line twice. I'm just going to redo it. There we go. And shoulder to elbow, elbow to hand. Notice that these aren't very perfect. I'm going to fix this in a second. Other shoulder to other elbow. We're going to just imagine where it is. And then elbow to hand. Okay. So now that we've done that, I can do a couple of things. First thing I'm going to show you is that I can carefully click the button on reference to hide layer. Please be aware that it's right next to the unlock layer button, so you could accidentally unlock it if you're not careful. If you want, you can hide the layer. Boop. There we go. And now we just see our little figure. So you could tell I was kind of quick and rough, so I'm going to show you a really amazing tool. And I know the last time we met, I didn't know what it was for, but it's this guy here. I now love this tool. It is very nifty. So I am going to select that tool. I am going to zoom in slightly. Okay. And with that tool selected, I can now click on the different lines that I have made and literally move them. Now, if you're not careful, you can move it in a straight line or you can make it wibbly wobbly. If you don't want it wibbly wobbly, be careful because it'll get wibbly wobbly. But you can now go in to do and click on the ends and tidy up. This I actually was an errant line, and I think I can just trash it. Can I? No, I can't. Let me try and go to select. Now I can trash it. There we go. Okay. Let's fix his knees. We got this weird... Oh! This, I've got an extra line. I can click on that and trash it. Going back to my little adjustment tool. Fix this knee, sort of. Okay, and maybe I can... Oh. Trash that weird extra piece that we don't need. Or is that... What is that? We don't need that. It looks inappropriate. Shh. Alright. Go back here. Oops. Remember, we don't want to make it wibbly. But there we go. You guys can spend just absolutely forever adjusting these little lines. And so, decide how much perfection you want to have in this assignment going into it. Alright, looks like I have some crazy lines here. I mean, there's some weird stuff that you can do with this tool. So, don't get too carried away. I'm getting too carried away. I'm going to trash that. I'm going to go back to my line tool. I'm just going to redraw that line. All right, I'm going to call it. I'm going to stop fiddling with this, and I'm going to call it. Now I'm going to go and drag back up so that I can view my bottom layer. Okay, so there is it lined up, and we're going to say, okay, that's good enough. I'm fine. I'm done. But now what I need to do is I need to add some frames. Now I'm gonna make this frame here a little bit longer. 3 seconds, maybe? Let's see. I think in the total I want to make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so I think I'm gonna go for 3 seconds per frame. So you can see I've now stretched out that first frame to be 3 seconds, and now I'm going to click the plus and add another frame. I'm going to stretch that out to be 3 seconds, and I can do that all the way through until I have the amount of frames I want. That was a little weird, so I'm going to do undo. Okay. Now 21 and 24. There we go. Okay. So I now have 8 they're not 3-second frames, but they're 3 frames long. Okay. The little clips, I guess. So here we go. Obviously, there's nothing filled in for the other ones, as it should be. I want to go now and draw the number 2 position one, okay? And you're going to go and do the same exact thing for each of them. But there is another way you could do it that's a little easier. I'm going to go to my selection tool, and I'm going to highlight around this character, and I'm going to click the copy button. Hopefully this works. I'm now going to go to this image and click paste, and there it shows up. I'm going to move it slightly. Make sure you're using your selection tool. Here we go. And I'm going to move my figure. All right. So now my figure is copied and moved. And I am going to use this nifty little button again to adjust carefully the position. There we go. Of her limbs. All right. Having a hard time not making them wibbly wobbly, but you'll probably have similar difficulties too. I want to click on the end point, not the middle. Come on. Let me click on you. Let me click on you. Having a issue. Anyway, let's tidy it up. It's looking a little better. Stop. Okay. I'm going to adjust this foot down here. Oh, do I have 2 feet for you? Click on it. You can also zoom in. Don't ever forget that you can zoom in. Everything's easier when you zoom. Alright, going back to my little selection tool. I'm gonna, whoop. Alright. I can also hide the back reference so that I'm not looking at too much at once. I got too much foot. Why do you got so much foot? You gotta make your foot smaller. There we go. A little crazy and weird. This line tool's nuts. I could also just select that, trash it, bring back this reference, trash it again, and carefully draw a new one. There we go. That's just easy. All right, let's go back to my movement tool, and I'm going to hide that so I can better see what I'm doing. There we go. Bring back my reference because I need to change the heel and foot. There we go. Oh, I did some weird stuff. Let's try to fix it. We don't want it like that. Remember, at any point, you can just go to your selection tool and trash it and decide to start over, if that makes it easier for you. Oh, don't try to draw on your reference layer. It won't let you. All right, I'm going to draw this. I'm going to move the knee slightly. There we go. I'm going to move the foot. Bring the reference back. That looks pretty good, but not perfect. Again, you decide on how perfect you want to make this drawing. The arm looks crazy. Oops. So I am going to trash the arm and just try again. That's kind of the nice thing about stick figures. Pretty low stakes drawing. All right. I can adjust it. Let's go and adjust this arm. There we go. That looks better. All right, calling it. Okay, let's press play, and you're going to see that I have the 2 first ones filled in. You can also just use this to scan across. Now note I haven't put the ones in between You can, but it's a lot of work. So decide how much effort you want to put into doing this. But essentially, what you want to do for this activity is for each of these figures to add in the new little walking figure image, either by drawing new ones or copying and pasting each time, and to do your best to follow along. Now, when you are all done with the entire drawing, and it makes sense and you've done it correctly, you can either, one, hide the reference or delete the reference. Either one works for me. But that is what I want you to do for this activity. All right, thank you very much, and bye-bye.